tool to measure the thickness before you start it, and this is the tool that I invented. And if you are using that, you know exactly how thick the bottom is, and you want to leave your bottom too thick, or you don't poke it through by accident. All right, and this is my system is made of aluminum, and on the other side, there's a mark here, so I'm going to flip over when I'm trimming it. And I make the line very close, about 5 millimeters for the line, so it's very easy for you to find your center without struggle. Because the line is very close, so here, if you go and find the line here. Okay, before I go and put it on to trim, I like to know exactly how thick the bottom is. So this is the tool. You put one here, and one here. And there's a reading there, and you subtract the difference. So you come with the exact how thick the bottom is. And then when you flip over, you can keep on checking until you got the right thickness, and you stop. Okay, 77 and 90, so you come with 13. And this tool also, you don't need to have 3 pieces. You can just measure one on the inside, and then you pull it out, and then you measure the outside. All right, pretty good. Find the center. All right, set up, and now the tools to trim. Usually you have, if you buy the basic kit, they come with the loop tool, the stainless loop tool. Basically, the tool has 3 different type of tool, I would say. So one is like L shape, and the loop shape, and then there's a hook shape. Okay, if you check the front, they usually come with this kind of shape. But for the material, they are quite different. They are stainless steel, high carbon steel, and the tungsten carbide. So those are most common material you can find in the market here. Some of them has advantage and some disadvantage. Like if you have the stainless steel, it's kind of a soft material. It gets dull easily. If you have high carbon tool, it's a little bit harder than the stainless steel, but sometimes you might get rusty. Okay, high carbon steel get rusty. And then there's a tungsten carbide. It's a very hot material, but then it's very brittle. If you drop it on the floor, it's gone. So that's, you want to choose the balance of a tool. Here I have actually 3 different kind of a tool out of the same, almost the same shape. Right, this is the L shape stainless steel, regular one, high carbon steel, and tungsten carbide. Okay, 3 different kind of a tool. And also I have the loop tool, L shape and loop tool. Okay. And this is made out of a tungsten carbide. Okay, tungsten carbide. So there are many choices for you to choose from. Right. So let me use the loop tool first. You trim the foot. And sometimes people told me that they got the unwanted chattering. The tool, when you trim, you got chatter. The chatter is because the tool is jumping. So if you don't control it right, you are going to end up with chattering. So the technique of get rid of the chattering is that you want to hold it closer to the front, the head of the tool. And while you're pushing it, brace it here, like here, you brace it. So you don't have the unwanted chattering. But if you want to get a chattering, what do? You do the opposite. Hold it longer and don't brace it. Okay? So that then you get a chattering. Like here, I want to get a chattering mark. I hold it further, and the tool starts to vibrate. Hear the sound? And you see the chattering mark. Okay. So that's how you control. You want a chattering, or you don't want a chattering. Okay. Now I want to get rid of the chattering, so I go through there, and then you can see that all my fingers, if you look closer, is holding very close to the plate to avoid the chattering or to remove the chattering mark. Right now there's no chattering mark. Okay. So this is the loop tool. How about the same way, if you want to chattering, hold it longer, and the tool will start to vibrate. You can hear the sound that. Hear the sound? That's chattering. If you come closer, you can see that there's the tool is jumping. So if you want to eliminate it, hold it closer. And then you remove it. So no more chattering. Okay, no more chattering. And if you want to do it on purpose, there's another tool that I developed. It's very good for chattering. It's this tool. That display is longer. Like I told you that the tool vibrate. This part here longer. It's easier to get the tool to jump. Okay. So now I'm going to use this tool to do the chattering on purpose. Hold it longer, a little bit of pressure, and hold it at a certain angle. And you can see that there's a chattering mark automatically. Okay, so that's how you get the wanted chattering or unwanted chattering. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to finish it up and then brush the black slip over and do a little bit of chattering decoration. Okay. And this one is my other carbide tool. It's kind of like square shape, so I call it a square loop tool. And the other one I just show you is looks like a pear shape, so I call it pear shaped loop tool.
Can you sharpen your tools, your trimming tools?
Yes. Yeah, you could. Okay, so there's a way to sharpen it. Like this loop tool, if you want to sharpen it, like I told you, the tungsten carbide is very hard material. You need to use harder material to sharpen it, okay, which is diamond. Okay, diamond file. So this is the diamond file. Okay, use the diamond file. And here's a block of wood. Raise it up. And then hold it against it, and then you go on the inner part here and use that. It's very easy to sharpen it. Okay, so use a diamond file to sharpen the tungsten carbide too. Also, the diamond file you can sharpen anything, even the stainless steel tool. You can use the diamond file to sharpen it too. Right. Again, also using that on the inner part of the blade, so you hold the straight edge better. If you use a hand to do that, you don't know how much pressure you're going to put it on, so you might make it a little unwanted. You might ruin your straight edge. So hold it against something that, and then you use that to sharpen it. Okay. So that's how you sharpen all the, including the carbide tool. You can sharpen it here. Okay. So that's the sharpening. And I would use my carbide tool, if you have a carbide tool, do all the heavy lifting, meaning you do most of the job, remove most of the clay, and then use the stainless steel tool to do fine tune, okay, to do your corner to get it nicer. Because the stainless steel is much finer surface, so when you push, your surface will be smooth. Okay, will be smooth. So I will use the carbide tool to do most of my trimming. And as you can see that when I'm trimming, always raise the head so it doesn't go wobbly or it doesn't jump in. And like I told you that we have 13, and usually I will trim here. I will probably leave 3 millimeters here, 3. Okay. So minimum I could go 10 deep, right? 10. You bring back the tool and then you check it. Here. Now it's about 4. So I have 6 more to go. The way I dry my clay, you can see that my clay is at the very right stage to trim. For the bowl or something that's thin on the top, when you find the rim is firm enough, flip it over and then you dry that way. So the moisture come out from the top, so that you will get your pot dry more evenly. Trim the pot at the right stage is very important. Okay, trim it at the right stage. You don't trim it too wet. I threw it 2 days ago in my home studio. I throw it on in the morning, and in the afternoon I cut it and then flip over because the rim is firm. So I flip over. And make sure when you flip over, you want to sandwich your bowl and then flip it. Instead of pick it up, okay, pick it up you might ruin it because the bottom is still wet. So sandwich and then flip it. So like I told you, that the very final stage, I will bring my stainless tool to the fine trimming. We can check it again. Right now it's about 8, so I have 2 more to go. You know why I want to do that? Because that's where I decide how much clay I can remove from outside. So if I get this part right, then I will compare this inner corner and the outer corner. Should be the same height or even lower because the bowl on the inside is curved. So outside could be lower than that. That's how I decided. So you can see that my bowl is thin. Okay, it's thin because if you get this part right, then you're gonna end up with a nice finish. Usually, I don't depend on this ruler. This is very good for a beginner. But once you have experience, you can just knock on it, and then you can decide when to stop. The thinner, the higher pitch. Okay, the thinner, the higher pitch. So you can use this as a learning tool once you get everything done, and then you just knock it. Remember the sound, and then later on, you don't need to depend on this.
Be flat.
Hmm?
Be flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? So that should be good. Right, it's 10. Right, 10. So I will stop right here and then start to take care of this part here and the outer part. So I'm taking it down until I compare this part here is the same level or even a little bit lower. Right, so that's good. Okay, that's good, and I will stop right here. This part here is still rough. On the very final stage, I like to level it. To level it, a good way is that speed up the wheel and then take the tool. You either cut it from the inner part or from the outer part. Speed up the tool and hold it very steady. You trim it in. If you have a tool hanging on top, you might go with a wave, so you could never get it level. Okay. So cut either from the outer part or from the inner part and speed up the wheel. Hold it very steady. You can level it. I usually do the chattering without the coating any slip, but I want you to see the contrast. So I use a black slip. I brush the slip over. black slip. And you don't want to do it right away, okay? You have to wait a little bit. Let me remove this one here, and I have one item. I trimmed it last night. Let me put this aside. I have done it last night by using the division to find the equal parts. I have a tool, this plastic glass. There are a few division lines there. I'm put it right there and then find the center, because the smaller circle, so you can find your center easily. And then use a needle tool to kind of making marks there. And after that, I use a Sgraffito tool to carve it. So that's how I get the lines there. Speaking of Sgraffito, right? So the Sgraffito tool, this is for fine line carving. It's like a very small tip there. It's like a hook, and you can carve it out. I have all the line there, so I can just connect the line there and to my carving. The drier the clay, the better for your carving. If you carve it too wet, your clay is going to stick on, because this tip is very fine, so the clay might stick it in there. But if you carve it well past the hot stage, it's very easy to reveal your clay body. Okay, right, let's do here. Connect this line. Well, you can put the ruler there if you're not easy to cut a very straight line. Put the ruler against it, and you can cut a straight line. But this is not an engineering job, so I don't worry about the line not getting straight. Right, so you can get that, and whatever the shape may be here. Connect in here, connect in here. Okay. It's very easy to get your reveal your clay body. That's what the Sgraffito all about. If you wanted to, get to here. This is porcelain. It's a common porcelain, but I fire to very hot temperature, so I mix glacier, 2-to-1 ratio, 2 part of common, 1 part of glacier. I mix them together. This tool? Yeah, either way, you can cut it straight or you can hold it more angle. Yeah, this part here is very sharp, so you could do it easily.
So how high do you fire your clay?
I fire to cone 11.
And why do you mix?
Yeah, feel free to ask question, anything about clay body or the tools. This bowl is hard than the heart. Yes.
How much clay did you start with?
This bowl, it's I would say maybe 2 pounds. Yeah, 2 pounds. Okay, I could finish up later just to give you the idea that what the Sgraffito tool is all about. And then I will bring back that piece, and then usually you want to let it sit. Or if you cannot wait, you can use a hair dryer or blow to blow a little bit. Yeah, this has a divider. Yeah, it's a divider. Yeah, and later on I'm going to show you what this is about. Okay, there's another function for this. Usually after I brush the slip, I like to burnish a little bit. Because most of the time, if you check my bowl, you can see that it's a dull surface. It's not shiny because I don't glaze here. I don't glaze the part here. I just brush the underglazes over and that's it. So for that, this part here a little bit smooth, I like to burnish the surface a little bit. That's why I burnish. Well, feel free to pass it around. Just don't drop it. Someone already bought it. So.
I didn't bring any cash.
Just check it out. Check it out. Burnish it a little bit. All right. So burnish. And now I am going to just use the chattering to get the Sgraffito mug. So for the chattering tool, this one, I name it number one. The number one, the longer blade. The longer blade, so it's easy to trigger the vibration. Hold it longer and hold it at a certain angle, like this angle. This is like 90 degrees, right? I kind of tilt it that way. And spin the wheel slightly faster, and then the clay is going to push back the tool and start to jump. So that's the chattering. Okay. And there's another one too. This one is also very good for chattering. Just different tip. Okay, different tip. This is a rounder tip, and this is square tip. Actually, the square tip you can use a different part. You can get different texture. So let me use. This is my number 3. The number 3 trimming tool. Okay, so you can see it's a rounder because the tip is round.
Is the tool flexible or rigid?
The tool is flexible.
It's not that flexible. It doesn't like.
It's just enough flexibility.
It's enough flexible, but not too flexible. Yeah, actually, the tool I designed it. Actually, you see, I don't have it here. In the front, there's my tool is right there. Okay, if you want to buy the chattering tool, it's right there. So you can check it. From number 1 to number 11, they are different thickness. Number 1, I wanted to be more flexible, is a 1 millimeter. Number 2, I wanted it to be firmer, it's 1.2 millimeters. And for the knife, it's 0.8 millimeters. So they are different thickness. Okay, not all the same. Not all the same.
So when would you use the thicker one versus the thinner one?
Or if you want to have more vibration, you use the thinner one. Yeah, use the thinner one. So that is the chattering. Yes? This is slip, black slip. If you want it, I have a recipe. You can ask me later after the demonstration. Okay, I have it. And also post it online too. On my YouTube, I show people that recipe. Right, so this part is fine and done, and then usually I put my stamp right here. Okay, so it's easier. I don't need to sign it. And then I can remove the clay now, but you see that when I trim, I didn't trim all the way here. So there's actually the clay in the way, so I couldn't trim all the way. So what do I do? If you are going to trim it all the way, what do you do? Flip it over and recenter it, right? Or have something to hold it on. Right? So this is what I was talking about. This plastic glass, there's a little groove there, so this spinner is dropped right in there. The spinner just spins by itself. So if you don't have a down pressure, find your center. Find your center, you hold it down. So you have down pressure. Now you can remove the clay. You can trim all the way down. Okay. So this is what this plexiglass spinner tool all about. is for holding down your pot. Okay? Separate it. If you want to use that by itself, you can do that too. Okay. The reason I have this one is that this is flat, but sometimes when you trim, I trim a little dome here, so the inner part is not perfectly flat. So I put this one on to hold it right on the rim. Since I have this disc here, why not make some decoration? So that's why I put the division line here. Okay. So this is also my invention too. Okay. And I have a smaller one. If you don't need to have a larger one, smaller one. Questions? No? All right. That's the bowl. Put it aside. And now